2009, and directing notice be given.
Sorry. Simply calls the notes that were identified in the resolution for refunding. They'll be replaced by new notes at a lower interest rate. Refinancing will save about $23,000 in interest payments.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Rusher.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Goodell.
Aye.
Slater.
Aye.
Scholl.
Aye.
Next, we need a motion to approve the following proposed resolution number 2015-95. Resolution authorizing the redemption of outstanding taxable general obligation capital loan notes series 2006B of the city of Humboldt, state of Iowa, dated October 15, 2006, and directing notice be given.
This resolution calls the notes that will be paid off with cash in hand. This is due to the central business district urban renewal area producing more revenue than was anticipated. Calling of those notes saves about $6,000 in interest payments.
Move approved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Davis.
Aye.
Goodell.
Aye.
Slater.
Aye.
Scholl.
Aye.
Rusher.
Aye.
Next, we need a motion to approve the following proposed resolution number 2015-96.
Yeah, I want to make sure you have the number.
Okay. A resolution directing the acceptance of a proposal to purchase $1,575,000 in general obligation capital loan notes, series 2015, and approving the form and authorizing execution of a note purchase agreement.
Scott's here if you want.
Scott, anything you want to run over?
Sure. So the note purchase agreement is essentially a contract saying you're going to sell the bonds, we're going to buy the bonds. And just to give you a quick overview on how interest rates shook out, as Aaron indicated, a big part of the $1,575,000, about $1.2 million of it relates to refinancing the 2009 A notes. That ended up saving actually about $28,000. Rates came in just a little lower than we had previously expected, so another $5,000 of savings over and above what we expected a couple months ago when we started work on the project. The other piece was $400,000 of new money. I think this is for more Eagle Ridge work. That's financed over a 15-year period, so hopefully, as the project builds out, you'll get enough TIF revenue to cover those costs, even though it's all done under general obligation financing. But just quick stat, the true interest cost or overall cost of borrowing for the whole financing package came in at 2.55% for a 15-year term. That's fixed.
How many years, Scott?
2.55%.
For how many years?
15 years.
15.
Yeah. Usually, you like to at least have some sort of stat you can look at to see what your rate is. I mean, there's about 40 different versions of that in the numbers, but that kind of boils it down to a pretty tangible concept of what your cost of borrowing is.
Was that a fly or time?
Oh, probably about 2 minutes, but
Okay, okay, oh, okay.
that's fine.
I'm getting out of waiting there, I wasn't sure.
That's all right.
We got a couple minutes.
Any questions you guys have, though?
Everything came back lower than what you thought it would anyway?
Yeah, and I'd like to say that it's attributable to something fantastic we did, but really it's just an overall move lower in interest rates. The Fed had this big indication they were going to lower rates in September at their Fed meeting, and they didn't. I think that put us in a pretty good position, timing-wise, to be selling bonds. The market has now gotten comfortable with the concept that we're going to see lower rates for a longer period of time, so favorable conditions to issue into.
Yeah. And Scott's been taking care of a lot of the changes that we've been facing. I mean, do you want to, while you're here, do you want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing with the SEC and what you've been handling for us as far as disclosure requirements?
Right.
I mean, I hate to put you on the spot, but that's
Nope.
mainly
It's
what
as
we've
good
been
as time
talking
as
about
any.
for the last year.
Right, I
is
feel like that's
the
a bigger
SEC.
part of what we talk about any more than the actual cost of borrowing, so to speak. But, so, this dates back to 2014. There was a program, the SEC, and I'll keep this brief, came out with this program where they were allowing issuers and underwriters to self-report and say, hey, we screwed up. We weren't saying appropriately in our official statements what our prior compliance had been with our continuing disclosure obligations. Now, that sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but essentially what it means is when you sell bonds to the public markets, you promise to them that you're going to give them ongoing updated financial information. Well, City of Humboldt, much like just about every other municipal government in the nation, was tardy or late with some of those disclosures. There was a deadline, you had to have it in by X days after the end of your fiscal year. It was rampant in the marketplace, and that's why the SEC came out with the program they did, where you could self-report and say, hey, we were running afoul of what we were supposed to be doing, but we'll do a better job going forward, and they're kind of essentially giving issuers a free pass on saying, okay, well, now that you've at least recognized that you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing, hopefully you'll do better in the future. What our perception is going forward, though, that was a nice one-time deal by the SEC, but we also noticed that they're paying a lot of attention to what you're saying in your disclosure documents. It was not the case previously. It certainly appears to be the case now, and I think that will only exacerbate going forward. So, as a result, we've been contracted by the city. We have for a few years, and things have improved on your continuing disclosure side of things, but that's only one microcosm of what the SEC was looking at in that instance. I think there's probably a broad school of thought that they're going to look at your entire disclosure document, which encompasses all the things you say about the city of Humboldt to investors when you sell bonds. That's what the bonds are, whether they're secured by, facts and features about the city that investors want to know so that they would know whether they want to buy your bonds or not. Makes sense, right? So one thing we did in this transaction that I think we should do going forward is to include a legal counsel to review that document and then render an opinion saying that, we've reviewed the document and find it to be complete, accurate, and not misleading in any way.
Change the tape then. Okay, we're back.
That's fine.
Sure. And then we had a separate law firm actually render this disclosure opinion. It's called a 10b-5 opinion, which 10b-5 references the Securities Act of 1934, where they said, basically, it's an anti-fraud provision saying you've got to accurately and completely disclose all material facts about any offering in the securities market. So they'll render a 10b-5 opinion saying that we have reviewed your offering document and find there to be a complete, accurate depiction of the city in the securities offering document. So provides just another layer of security to the city to know that, hey, disclosure is a hot button topic. You do take on a significant amount of liability anytime you render an official statement, anytime you sell bonds. So just seems prudent in the environment we're in to, $6,000 in this case. Spend $6,000 on a $1.5 million financing to know that what you put out there for an offering document is accurate and meets all the legal standards that are required of such a document. I mean, they found mayors, city administrators, and these are cases where there was willful negligence or intentional fraud, but they found them personally liable for material misstatements in an official statement. I mean, when you think about it as a city council member, do you want to assume personal liability for an offering document on a securities offering for the city?
No, probably not.
But that's not probably a hard question for anybody to answer, especially at the price of $6,000. So, I guess what Aaron's asking is to give you kind of an update. That's where things stand now. Would seem to be prudent course of action going forward. It's getting to be very common in the marketplace to add that layer of protection, hire an attorney, make sure that what you're putting out there is a complete and factually accurate document. It is getting some attention.
We did do it.
Did do
You
that.
did.
We did not
Did.
use a financial advisor. We had
That's
added
right.
a
Okay.
financial
That was
advisor.
Not the other one, yeah,
$7,000.
that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
We used one and not the other.
Yeah.
Which way we went.
The financial advisory, that's not really a legal thing, that's more, okay, is the bond structure what you wanted? Is the refunding a good idea? Are the rates we're giving you fair rates? Those are the kind of things that a financial advisor will be looking over that's completely separate from this much more legal question of what you're disclosing to investors about your bond issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very good?
Yep. Thank you.
Yep, thank you guys.
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote.
Goodell,
Aye.
Slater,
Aye.
Scholl,
Aye.
Rusher,
Aye.
Davis.
All right. Next, we need a motion to approve the following proposed resolution number 2015-97. A resolution accepting the Humboldt Municipal Airport Conventional Hangar Project as complete. I underline that word complete. And authorizing the mayor to sign the engineer's statement of completion and authorizing the release of the retainage, which is $10,000, 30 days from this date of acceptance.
Here's one of those final ones. Final cleanup on the project, and the seated areas has been completed. Accordingly, the project is ready to be closed out. This one had just been waiting for, like almost every project was waiting for seating, and this was no different.
So move.
Second. Roll call vote.
Slater?
Aye.
Scholl?
Aye.
Rusher?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Goodell?
Aye.
Any word on other seating projects?
What's that?
Any word on the other seating projects, like some of the
Sumner Avenue, the Hovey one?
Yeah.
Hovey, we just had a correspondence with him today. He said that the spot has been seated with salt-resistant seating. We said we'd like to see
Where?
proof of that. So,
I'm not even a track in there.
That's what we said. So,
Okay.
we're waiting on delivery tickets and seating tags from the project because we were unaware it was completed. I'm here multiple times a week and never saw any movement on site.
Walk
So
up
if
and
he
down the Old
was
Bailey.
sneaky enough to get in there without
Haven't seen
it.
anybody.
So we're waiting on proof that it was seated. We're planning on moving ahead with project closure, the next meeting, whether or not he has or not.
well, I mean, you got two people who live right there.
Block away,
A
Yeah.
block away.
We use it.
And I don't
around
think,
the hill all the time.
you guys never actually saw him there.
I've not seen any, no one,
Yeah.
not seen any movement in the dirt or anything else
Yeah.
there going on.
That was I walked the entire site after he said that 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and I noticed nothing different, so, that's the stance we're taking at this time.
Interesting.
Alrighty, next we need a motion to approve the following proposed resolution number 2015-98. A resolution approving pay estimate number 16 from Gopperson Smith Construction Company of Ida Grove, Iowa, in the amount of $4,249 for the Sumner Avenue Bridge Replacement Project.
This payment's for the small amount of work that has been completed by the subcontractors. The contractor's still working to address the areas that have been identified on the punch list. These areas include the staining, the driveway on the the driveway on the east approach, the dip in the deck near the west side of the bridge. That'll have to be a patch in that area. The amount withheld is still viewed as enough to cover the needed work when combined with the bond of the contractor. Subcontractor work items like the ones being paid must be paid out, or the contractor could have some legal recourse against the city. It's a little different when you hold the subcontractor money than when you hold the contractor money. So, still working to get those items fixed. Obviously, there has been some work on site, but not nearly enough to really make anybody happy. We've informed them that we are continuing to run the days and that the project will be closed out.
We're still paying engineering fees?
Yeah, you still have engineering fees until we get it closed, but they're not on site. I mean, the big cost that we had
Was on site, I
was
think.
when they were just sitting there on site, because DOT requirement
I'm
is.
sure we're getting dinged pretty good on these though for, a couple hours or each time or something. that they're
Yeah, every time you
not for-
process a pay request
Yeah.
or whatever. So there are gonna be more engineer costs that are wrapped into that. but-
And the amount of money that we're withholding didn't get any bigger, so that just
No.
keeps dwindling.
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Scholl?
Aye.
Rusher?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Goodell?
Aye.
Slater?
Aye.
Next, we need a motion to approve the following proposed resolution number 2015-99. A resolution approving contract change order number 1 from Wunsch Construction of Green, Iowa for a net increase in the contract price of $3,109.28 for the Fifth Avenue South Emergency Water Main Replacement Project.
This change order is to cover the collapsed sewers that occurred during the construction of the main. Sewers collapsed because of their age. The work disturbed the soil enough to cause the sewer services to crumble, even though the boring work was away from the services.
Yeah,
If
I
you
guess
had
I can
anything else to add on that.
touch base on that somewhat too. Yeah, this was a change order that Wunsch Construction submitted to us on it. There is enough, I guess, meat in the plans. If the council chooses not to pay this, it is their decision on it. We wanted to bring it to your attention. With their work there, the disturbance of the soil did actually cause the, they didn't hit them with their bore machine, but it was enough movement in there that they moved, broke, and then caused some issues. So they fixed them, and then part of this change order also is on the attachments, you'll see some, pardon my allergies are bad today.
Good time.
There are multiple bore pits. They had a lot of boulders that were in there when they were boring, so they had a lot of issues getting from point A to point B to where they actually had to have multiple bore pits out there. So there were some extra couplings that they utilized on site with that. So he just requested that those were paid just at the supply cost on it. He submitted what the actual cost of those were. No extra time associated for installing them or anything like that. I guess we're supportive of this just due to the time frame. He was in there, completed his work in a timely manner. Was in there, kind of got things rolling, got in there and got out and finished up with it. I guess we're just presenting it to the council as his request to see if the council will be in supportive of the change order for this project.
It's not a huge item, I mean, they were way under bid in the first place, and, you know, I think they did a good job.
They did a good
Everybody's
job.
happy
That,
with it.
boring stuff, that's, we're putting in a 6-inch line, that's tough to bore a 6-inch.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're gonna hit underground, so. I would move to approve.
Everything's been all good down there and stuff, then, so.
Yeah.
Roll call vote?
Rusher.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Goodell.
Aye.
Slater.
Aye.
Scholl.
Aye.
Next, we need a motion to approve the following proposed resolution number 2015-100. A resolution approving contract change order number 1 from Blacktop Service Company in Humboldt, Iowa for a net increase in the contract price of $2,120.20 for the 7th Avenue South Water Main and Street Construction Project.
Cover discrepancies in quantities, I guess.
Yeah, most of the discrepancies in quantities was that they were underneath on the asphalt, but we uncovered a lot of rock up on the southern part of the project for the water main installation. So this was over and above the estimated quantity for the rock removal and the hauling of suitable backfill over the water main on it. That's where most of this additional, or actually all of the additional is for the project.
Found like big rock and stuff, you mean? or
No, they
rock?
actually had to rock break out bedrock
Okay,
on the northern part in the northeast corner going across 5th and then going across 7th and then approximately halfway to 8th. They actually had to use a rock breaker to create a trench to lay the water main in. So haul that material out, they get paid for taking it out, then we have to, there was an item in there to replace that material with a suitable backfill. So it's additional quantities on those 2 items to make up for the change order price. And then we're rectifying quantities also to clean up the contract.
Move to approve.
Second.
roll call vote?
Davis.
Aye.
Goodell.
Aye.
Slater.
Aye.
Scholl.
Aye.
Rusher.
Aye.
Next, we need a motion to approve the following proposed resolution number 2015-101. A resolution accepting the project as complete and approving pay estimate number 5 final from Blacktop Service Company of Humboldt, Iowa, in the amount of $8,329.16 for the 2014 7th Avenue South Subdivision Water Main and Street Construction Project.
As you heard. we're-
Yeah, this is just the final
That's the
payment
end.
of retainage on the project to be paid 30 days after approval.
yeah. Weapons came in and did a little bit of seeding and
Yep.
again,
Yeah, the seating was paid for in the previous pay
Yeah.
request.
so.
And then this is just the retainage on the project.
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote?
Goodell.
Aye.
Slater.
Aye.
Scholl.
Aye.
Rusher.
Aye.
Davis.
As long as you're there, is that any, where are we at with the project down there with the apartments? Are we moving to attorneys yet, stuff on that to get that and stuff down there with the,
Where the intakes are?
yeah.
Yeah, that's sent over to, I sent that over recently to Eric. so.
Okay. Okay. So that's, they've got a list of everything they were supposed to
Yep.
have done or whatever and stuff.
Yeah,
there to
we've
fix all that
supplied a
stuff.
list and a letter to the city.
Yeah, and then we
Okay.
sent that on and we did not have response back, so at this point, it'll just go to attorneys to take care of.
At what point does it get fixed or is that never, I mean, what does happen?
No,
Is
that's-
it a city
That's what,
down the road or?
I think I would
judgment
wanna,
or what?
I would wanna work with Eric.
Yeah,
And make sure that whatever you're doing, that you can bill whatever
sure.
that work
I
is
just didn't know
back.
if that was how it ever worked anyway.
Mhm.
if the city ever does take over, to
It's-
fix it or never, or,
I think it's this, I think, and again, I'd have to, you know, obviously work with Eric on it, but I think that you take the same approach as you would with ordinance enforcement, where you just want to make sure that anything you do, you have the ability to then claim back on the other person. I guess, have you run into this with any of those?
Not on the private development a lot, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So he had a pretty significant list there of items he needed to address on that project, from intakes to grading to detention, some small things, some larger items on it, that he did not do on the plan that was, he intended to do
Right,
that,
that he was supposed
we
to
set
do.
forth with.
This was TSB Construction,
Mhm.
Correct.
Yes.
that's the contractor, okay.
Correct.
okay. Under ordinances, we need a motion to approve the first reading of the following proposed ordinance. An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Humboldt, Iowa by amending Chapter 165, Section 16 pertaining to zoning regulations, administrative and enforcement fees.
This ordinance will update the fee section to allow the fee to be increased to double on building permits that are filed after the work has been started, based upon the decision of the zoning administrator. This is in response to several projects being started prior to the building permits being pulled, and the zoning administrator has accounted several repeat offenders with respect to this issue. I have it in the code so that the fee would not be used in the calculation of the payment of the zoning administrator, to ensure that it's simply punitive and not providing any individual benefit based off of increasing fees. Again, it would be up to the administrator to make that determination, because sometimes you have innocents, oh, I didn't realize I needed to get a permit for a fence, and then you've got, builders that should really know better. And-
Two new houses going up at Eagle Ridge that they don't have a permit for.
Yeah, I
You know,
don't.
one was really, really close to the
Yeah.
line. I mean, we're talking like inches, it almost wouldn't have passed, so.
Yeah, oh, yeah, with that one.
So that was, been a bad deal if it got caught.
So honestly, it's better to get this done just
Yep.
because of situations like that. It's in
They
the
know better.
it's in the builder's
They know
best
better.
interest too, to get it checked
Yep.
out, and so.
Move approve.
Second.
Got lots of, John, did you miss out on that?
Yeah.
Want to jump in, stay silent on this one? These guys are getting tired, I see that.
Roll call vote.
Slater,
Aye.
Shaw,
Aye.
Rusher,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Goodell.
Aye.
It's the last of our regular scheduled items. Aaron,
No, honestly,
isn't much we didn't talk about, is there?
what's that?
Isn't much we didn't gonna get.
No, I
this
think
week.
unless we want to stick around for another 30 minutes, I can serenade you.